The Savoia-Marchetti SM.81 Pipistrello was the first three-engine bomber transport aircraft serving in the Italian Regia Aeronautica. When it appeared in 1935, it represented a real step ahead in Italian military aviation. It was fast, well-armed and had a long range. It proved effective during the war with Ethiopia and the Spanish Civil War. Despite being too slow to remain competitive as a bomber in the later years of World War II, it was one of the most flexible, reliable and important aircraft of the Regia Aeronautica from 1935 to 1944, and adapted to second-line duties in a wide range of tasks. Design and development. The SM.81 was a militarized version of Savoia-Marchetti's earlier SM.73 airliner, having cantilever wings, three engines and a fixed undercarriage. The origins of this version were in pursuit of the interests of Italo Balbo, a brilliant exponent of the fascist regime, who required a fast and efficient aircraft that was capable of serving the vast Italian colonies in Africa. The SM.81 had wings that were roughly similar to those of the double fuselage S-55, and identical to those of the S-73, but had a much simpler fuselage. Around 6 months after the SM.73's first appearance, the SM.81 prototype first flew from Range.It near Varese on 8 February 1935, controlled by test pilot Adriano Bacula. The first series, ordered in 1935, was for 100 aircraft and was quickly put into production as a result of the international crisis and the embargo caused by the war in Ethiopia. The first examples were sent to 7-wing at Campo della Promessa airbase near Lone Pozzallo. Although it was quickly superseded as a frontline bomber, the SM.81 continued to serve as a transport by virtue of its wide fuselage, which allowed it to accommodate a wide range of armament. Apart from its speed, it was generally superior to the SM.79 Sparviero as a bomber and multi-role aircraft. Overall characteristics. The SM.81 was a robust, three-engine monoplane, with a fixed tailwheel undercarriage with the main wheels enclosed by large spats to reduce drag, and had a crew of 6. The aircraft was of mixed construction. The fuselage had a framework of steel tubes with a metallic-covered aft portion, while the rest was wooden fabric-covered. It had a relatively large fuselage, an unnecessarily characteristic for a bomber, which determined its future as a transport aircraft. Since the engines were quite small, the fuselage did not blend well with the nose engine, even less so than the SM.79. Many windows were present to provide the fuselage interior with daylight, giving the impression that it was a passenger aircraft. The all-wooden wings had 3 spars to provide the necessary support, whereas the semi-elliptical tail surfaces were fabric-covered metal. The pilot and co-pilot were seated side by side in an enclosed cockpit, with separate cabins for the flight engineer and the radio operator gunner behind the cockpit. The bomb bay was behind the cockpit, together with a passage which linked the mid and aft fuselage, where there were 3 further defensive positions. The bombardier's position was located just below the cockpit in a semi-retractable gondola, and differed from that of the SM.79, being both larger and in a location which was more favorable for communicating with the crew, and provided excellent visibility thanks to the glazed panel. Both this position and the cockpit had escape hatches, but for normal entry and exit there was a door in the left mid-fuselage, and one in the aft fuselage. Equipment included an RA-350i radio transmitter, AR-5 radio receiver, and a P63N radio compass, while other systems comprised an electrical generator. fire extinguishing system, and an Army-30 camera. The aircraft, having a large wing and robust undercarriage, was reliable and pleasant to fly, and could operate from all types of terrain. It was surprisingly fast for its time and, given the power of its engines, especially compared to the similar junkers Ju-52. It was better armed than the SM.79, but the increased drag combined with the same engine power reduced the maximum speed and cruise speeds as well as the range. No armor was fitted, except for the self-sealing fuel tanks. Armament: the SM.81 was equipped with 6 machine guns, providing a heavy defensive armament for a 1935 aircraft. 2 powered retractable turrets, 1 dorsal and 1 ventral aft, were each fitted with 7.7mm Breeder SAF-80 machine guns, while single 7.7mm Lewis guns were mounted to fire through lateral hatches. The turrets were rotated by a river calzone hydraulic system, while the gun's elevation was manual, and manual backup mechanisms were provided for both the retracting and rotating systems. Once retracted, only the upper part of the turret was visible, with the gun barrels positioned vertically, one after the other to reduce drag, giving the impression that the aircraft had additional antennae. Given the SM.81's cruise speed of around 270 km/h and the presence of a massive fixed undercarriage, the aerodynamic gain was relatively small. The ventral turret was operated in a different fashion to those fitted to other aircraft, where the gunner occupied the ball or dustbin-shaped structure. Instead, due to lack of space, the gunner crouched in the fuselage with his head down inside the turret. This proved not to be very effective, as were most ventral turrets, and they were not fitted to further Savoias, although Piaggio fitted a dustbin-style turret accommodating the gunner to the P-108. Both flanks were covered by 1 single and 1 twin-gun installation. Initially 6 7.7mm Vickers machine guns were fitted, but these were later replaced by reliable, if not very fast-firing models made by Breeder, together with 500 rounds per gun. The SM.81's bomb bay was divided into 2 parts with a passage linking aft and mid-fuselage between, and could accommodate a wide range of ordnance up to a total of 2,000 kilograms over short ranges, with individual bombs of up to 500 kilograms, arranged either horizontally or vertically, 4 times 500 kilograms. 4 times 250 kilograms, 16 times 100 kilograms, true weight around 130 kilograms. 28 times 50 kilograms, 56 times 31 kilograms, 24 kilograms, 20 kilograms, or 15 kilograms. 1008 times 2 kilograms. Incendiary bombs. The bomb release mechanism was located on the right side of the bombardier's position. The SM.81's defensive armament was better than its successor, the SM.79, and even than that of the SM.84, but still insufficient when faced with modern enemy fighter opposition. It was also capable of carrying a greater bomb load than the SM.79, due to its wide fuselage. Propulsion. The SM.81 had a 3-engine configuration, but unlike the Sparviero, was fitted with a wide range of engines throughout its production. Alfa Romeo 125 RC, 35, 432 to 507 kilowatts. 192 built. Gnome Rhone 14K, 485 to 746 kilowatts. 96 built. Piaggio PXRC 15, 501 to 522 kilowatts. 48 built. Piaggio PIXR C.40, 507 kilowatts. 140 built. Alfa Romeo 126 RC 34 582 to 671 kilowatts, also fitted to early versions of the EDM 79. 58 built. In addition, one aircraft, the EDM-81B, was built in a twin-engined configuration, powered by two 627 kilowatts Isotta Fraschini Asoci inline engines and a streamlined, glazed nose. It had inferior performance to the three-engined versions and was not taken further. Fuel. The fuel tanks, as was standard for Italian multi-engined aircraft, were metal self-sealing fuel tanks using materials developed by SEMAPE, the specialized manufacturer. 8 tanks were fitted, with 6 in the center wing and 2 370L tanks in the outer wings. This gave an overall fuel capacity of 3,620 or 4,400L. Operational history. The EDM-81 first saw combat during the Second Italo-Abyssinian War, where it showed itself to be versatile, serving as a bomber, transport and reconnaissance aircraft. EDM-81s also fought in the Spanish Civil War with the Aviazione Legionaria and were among the first aircraft sent by the fascist powers to aid Francisco Franco. Despite their obsolescence by 1940, when Italy became involved in World War II, more than 300 EDM-81s were in service with the Regia Aeronautica. The first Italian aircraft to enter action in East Africa were a pair of EDM-81s. On the 11th of June 1940, one of them attacked Port Sudan and the other flew a reconnaissance flight over the Red Sea. That same night, 3 EDM-81s took off to bomb Aden, but one turned back, and one of the other two hit a hill near Massawa while trying to land. Its low speed and vulnerability to fighter aircraft meant that during daytime the EDM-81 was restricted to second-line duties, finding use as a transport. At night it was an effective bomber, particularly in the North African theater. Anti-ship actions were also carried out, but without significant success. Most EDM-81s were withdrawn by the time of the Italian armistice of 1943, though some remained in service with both the Italian Social Republic and the Italian co-belligerent Air Force. Several examples survived the war and went on to serve with the Aeronautica Militare Italiana, but by 1950 these had all been retired. EDM-81s serving in Ethiopia had the white ivorium markings applied to distinguish them in SAR missions. The normal camouflage pattern was yellow, green and brown mimetic. The all-over dark olive-green scheme was introduced later, when the aircraft were used only in transport missions. Variants: EDM 3-engine bomber, transport aircraft, 535 built. EDM-81B experimental twin-engine prototype 1 built. Operators: Republic of China. Chinese Nationalist Air Force received 3 aircraft. All were lost in training accidents in February 1938 at Yichang. Kingdom of Italy Regia Aeronautica. Aviazione Legionaria 64 aircraft. Italian co-belligerent Air Force. Italian Social Republic Aeronautica Nazionale Repubblicana. Italy Aeronautica Militare Italiana operated this type post-war. Spanish State Spanish Air Force. Specifications: general characteristics: crew 6, length 18.3 meters, wingspan 24 meters, height 4.3 meters, wing area 92.2 square meters, empty weight 6,800 kilograms, loaded weight 9,300 kilograms, max takeoff weight 10,505 kilograms, power plant 3 times Piaggio PXRC-15 radial engines, 522 kilowatts each. Performance maximum speed 320 to 347 kilometers per hour. Range 2000 kilometers. Ferry range 430 kilometers with 2000 kilograms and 640 kilometers endurance with the same load. Max practical combat range 1500 kilometers. Service ceiling 7,000 meters. Wing loading 101 kilograms per square meter. Power mass 4.9 horsepower per kilogram. Performance when fitted with Alfa Romeo 125 engines. Maximum speed 340 kilometers per hour at 4,000 meters. Cruise speed 260 kilometers. Minimum speed 110 kilometers per hour. Climb to 1,000 meters in 4 minutes 15 s. 3,000 meters in 11 minutes 48 s. 5,000 meters in 20 minutes 36 s. Armament 6 times 7.7 mm Breeder SAF-80 machine guns. Up to 2,000 kilograms of bombs.